The space station called Astrogate was always loud. Machines hummed. Ships landed and left. Voices from 100 worlds mixed in the air. Yet in one small corner of the waiting hall, there was silence. An empty circle. Not because the seats were broken. Not because the floor was dirty. But because one alien girl sat there. Her name was Lyra. She was small, with pale blue skin that softly glowed under the station lights. Thin silver lines ran across her arms like gentle rivers of light. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with quiet fear, and around her, there was a smell, not sharp, not rotten, not dangerous. Just different. Some said it was like wet soil after rain. Some said it was like wild flowers mixed with metal. Others could not even describe it. They only knew one thing. They did not like it. Passengers walked near her, then quickly moved away. Some covered their noses. Some whispered. Some laughed softly. A tall reptile-like alien stopped near her seat, smelled the air, and made a face. "Ooh," he muttered, moving away fast. A group of traders pointed at her and spoke in low voices. "That's one of them. Her kind always smells strange. Why is she even here?" Lyra heard everything. She always did. Her shoulders slowly dropped. Her fingers tightened around the small bag on her lap. She tried not to cry. She did not choose to smell this way. It was her nature. It was her species. But the galaxy did not care. Soon, every seat near her was empty. Only Lyra remained, sitting alone in the wide, bright hall, like a shadow no one wanted to touch. Then someone stopped walking. A human. His name was Evan. He was tall, with short dark hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple jacket and carried a small travel pack on his back. He had just arrived from Earth, and the long journey showed on his face. He was searching for a place to sit. He walked past many empty seats. But somehow, his eyes stopped on the one near Lyra. He noticed the empty space around her. He noticed how everyone avoided that area, and he noticed her eyes, not angry, not proud, just sad. Evan slowed his steps. A robotic voice echoed above. "Next. Departure in 12 minutes. Evan looked at the seat beside Lyra. He took one step toward it. A nearby alien hissed quietly, "Human, don't sit there." Another whispered, "She smells strange." Evan paused. He looked at Lyra again. She lowered her head, expecting him to leave like all the others. But Evan did not turn away. He walked closer. One step, then another. And finally, he sat down beside her. The sound of the seat locking into place felt loud in the silence. Every eye nearby turned to them. Lyra slowly lifted her head. She did not speak. She only looked at him, surprised. Evan sat calmly. Then he breathed in. He smelled the air around her. For a moment, his face changed. Lyra tensed. She was ready for him to move away. Ready for another look of disgust. Ready for another silent rejection. But it did not come. Instead, Evan's eyes widened slightly, then softened. He breathed in again, slowly. "This smell," he said quietly, more to himself than to her. Lyra's fingers tightened. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I cannot change it." Evan turned to her. His voice was gentle. "You don't need to." She blinked. He looked forward, his eyes distant. Now like he was seeing something far away. "This smell reminds me of home." Lyra froze. "Home?" No one had ever said that before. Evan continued, his voice calm. "On my world, after rain falls on dry ground, the soil makes a smell like this. Fresh, deep, real." He smiled faintly. "When I was a child, I used to walk in forests after rain. This smell, it feels like those days." Lyra stared at him. Her eyes slowly filled with light. "You are not lying?" she asked softly. Evan shook his head. "No. I like it." Around them, some aliens whispered in shock. "He likes it? Is something wrong with him? Humans are strange." Lyra lowered her head again, but this time, her shoulders did not fall. They relaxed. Her scent in the air changed. Slightly. It became softer. Calmer. Evan noticed. He looked at her. Your smell, it changed. Lyra nodded slowly. Our scent shows our feelings, she said. Before, I was afraid. Now, I am calm. Evan smiled. That's beautiful. Lyra hesitated. Then asked quietly, why did you sit here when others did not? Evan thought for a moment. Then answered simply, because no one deserves to sit alone. Just because they are different. The robotic voice echoed again. Next. Departure in 10 minutes. Lyra looked around. Some aliens were still watching them. But something was changing. Not fast. Not loudly. But slowly. A few were no longer whispering. They were thinking. Lyra looked at Evan. Thank you, she said. Evan nodded. Then, suddenly, a sharp mechanical sound cut through the air. 2 security drones stopped near them. A cold metallic voice spoke. Unregistered biological presence detected. Begin scan. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. Evan stood up slowly and placed himself between Lyra and the drones. The 2 security drones hovered in front of them. Their blue lights blinked. Slowly, thin red beams moved over Lyra's body. Remain still, the cold voice said. Lyra's hands began to shake. She did not fear pain. She feared being taken away. Evan stood between her and the machines. She is not dangerous, he said firmly. One drone turned its head toward him. Biological signature unknown. Protocol demands isolation. Lyra slowly stood up. Her eyes were full of fear, but her voice was calm. I will go, she said softly. Please, do not trouble the human. Evan turned toward her. No, he said. You don't have to. Go alone. She looked at him, surprised. The drone spoke again. Human presence not required. Evan smiled slightly. Maybe, but I am staying. Around them, people had stopped walking. The busy hall was now quiet. Everyone was watching. The drone paused, then spoke again. Scan complete. No immediate threat detected. The red lights faded. The drones moved back slowly. Temporary clearance granted. They floated away into the crowd. Lyra's knees almost gave in. She sat down quickly. Evan sat beside her again. For a few seconds, neither spoke. Then Lyra whispered, you could have walked away. Evan looked at her. So could everyone else, he replied. She looked down. My kind is not welcome in most places, she said. Because of our scent, and because of our past. Evan leaned back in his seat. What past? He asked. Lyra hesitated. Then she began. Long ago, my people were healers. We traveled between worlds. We healed poisoned lands, sick oceans, broken air. Evan listened quietly. Our scent, she continued, is part of that. It is not just smell. It carries life energy. It speaks emotions. It changes with our hearts. She paused, but one day, a great disaster happened on a distant world. A whole city fell into the sea. Evan slowly turned toward her. And they blamed your people? Lyra nodded. They said our scent weakened their machines. They said we caused the fall. Her voice grew softer, but it was not true. Evan clenched his fist. Truth is often quiet, he said. Lies are loud. Lyra looked at him, surprised again. You speak like a wise one, she said. Evan smiled. I just don't like unfair stories. For a moment, silence returned. Then Evan spoke again. Your scent. When I first smelled it, I felt something strange. Lyra turned toward him. What? Evan closed his eyes. It felt like being young again, like standing barefoot on wet grass after rain, like breathing clean air after a storm. Lyra listened closely. No one has ever described my scent like that, she said. They usually say I smell like trouble, she added quietly. Evan shook his head. They are wrong. Slowly, Lyra's scent changed again. It became warmer, more gentle. Evan felt it. Even without trying. He smiled. You feel happier now, he said. Lyra blinked. Yes, she whispered. Because someone finally sees me, not my smell. At that moment, the robotic voice echoed again. Gate 47 boarding in 5 minutes. Lyra stood up. That is my ship, she said. Evan stood too. Where are you going? To a small moon colony, she replied. They allow my kind there. Sometimes, she paused. Will you come with me to the gate? Evan nodded. They began walking together. As they moved through the hall, something strange happened. People did not move away this time. Some still avoided her. But others did not. A young alien child stared at Lyra with wide eyes. Mom, the child said, she smells like flowers. The mother looked surprised. She pulled the child closer, but did not walk away. Lyra heard it. Her eyes filled with quiet light. At the gate, they stopped. The door glowed softly behind Lyra. She turned toward Evan. I will remember you, she said. Even if the galaxy forgets me. Evan smiled. I doubt the galaxy will forget you, he said. Not after today. She hesitated. Then slowly reached out her hand. Evan took it. Her hand was warm, soft, alive. For a moment, neither moved. Then Lyra released his hand. She stepped back toward the gate, but before entering, she turned one last time. Evan, one day, the truth about my people will return. Evan looked at her calmly. When it does, he said, I hope I am there to see it. Lyra smiled. Then she entered the ship. The doors closed. Evan stood alone now. But he did not feel lonely. Because, in the air around him, the scent of rain and wild flowers still remained, and somewhere deep inside him, hope had begun to grow. The transport ship left the station in silence. Lyra stood by a small window, looking at the stars. The vast black space stretched endlessly. Before her, she pressed her hand against the glass, for the first time in many cycles. She did not feel invisible. Evan stood not far from her. He had changed his plan. He decided to travel with her, not because he had nowhere else to go, but because he felt her journey was not meant to be alone. The ship was quiet. Only a few passengers were inside. Most avoided sitting near Lyra as usual, but this time, Evan did not let her sit alone. They took seats together. After some time, Evan spoke softly. Tell me about your people, he said. Lyra's eyes dimmed slightly. Most do not want to know, she replied. Evan looked at her calmly. I do. She was silent for a moment. Then she began. My people are called the Valori, she said. We were born on a green world, full of water and mist. She closed her eyes. Our bodies learned to speak through scent. Joy, fear, love, it flows through what others only call smell. Evan listened quietly. Once, she continued, the galaxy called us life-bringers. We healed lands destroyed by war. We cleansed air filled with poison. We helped worlds breathe again. Her voice became softer, but kindness makes enemies. 2. Evan frowned slightly. What happened? Lyra opened her eyes. One great world, rich and proud, was dying slowly. Their leaders asked us to heal it. She paused. We tried. The ship passed through a bright field of stars. Lyra's reflection appeared on the glass. But their world was already broken beyond saving, she said. Their machines were tearing it apart from the inside. Evan slowly understood. And when it failed, they blamed you. Lyra nodded. They said our scent corrupted their systems. They said our presence weakened their defenses. Her hands clenched. They called us a biological threat. Evan's jaw tightened. What did the galaxy do? He asked. They believed them, Lyra replied. Because fear is easier than truth. She looked down. Our worlds were closed. Our ships were banned. Our name was erased from records. Silence filled the space between them. Then Evan spoke again. How many of your people remain? Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. Very few. Evan felt something heavy in his chest. You should not be treated like this, he said. Lyra gave a small, sad smile. The galaxy does not care what is fair. Evan leaned forward. Humans care. Lyra looked at him, surprised. Not all, Evan added quietly. But enough. At that moment, a tall alien stood up nearby. He was broad, with dark red skin and glowing yellow eyes. He had been listening. You speak boldly, human, the alien said. Do you even know who she is? Evan stood slowly. I know she is not. A monster, he replied. The alien snorted. Her kind caused the fall of Threx Prime. Evan looked at him calmly. No, he said. Your leaders did. The alien froze. What did you say? Evan continued. Machines destroyed Threx Prime. Not healers, not scent. Not a girl sitting quietly. People around them began to listen. The alien growled. You dare blame us? Evan stepped forward. I dare speak truth. Silence fell. Then Lyra stood beside Evan. Her scent changed. It grew strong. Sweet, not soft, but powerful. It filled the air like a living presence. Every being nearby felt it. It was not a smell. It was a feeling, pain, hope, truth. The tall alien took a step back. What is this? He whispered. Lyra's voice was calm but firm. This is what my people truly are. A small alien child began to cry softly. The mother pulled the child close, but did not move away because something in the air felt real. The ship's system spoke. Entering Moon Colony sector. Prepare for arrival. Lyra slowly relaxed. Her scent softened again. Evan looked at her. They will remember this, he said. Lyra shook her head gently. Not yet, but one day. As the ship slowed down, Evan felt something deep inside him, a quiet promise that he would not let her story disappear, that he would not let her people be forgotten, because sometimes the strongest weapon in the galaxy is not fire. Not steel, but truth spoken at the right moment. The Moon Colony was quiet, not peaceful quiet, but the kind that comes before something breaks. Lyra and Evan walked through the main street of the HFY colony. Tall white towers stood on both sides. Soft lights floated in the air. Alien citizens moved slowly, watching them with careful eyes. Here Lyra was allowed, but not welcomed. Whispers followed them. That is her. The scented one. The Valori. Lyra lowered her head. Evan noticed. He slowed his steps so she would not walk behind him. But beside him, they reached the central square. Wide open space. At its center stood a tall crystal tower that glowed like frozen light. Lyra stopped. This is where they decide who may stay, she said softly. Evan nodded. They waited. Soon, several officials arrived. Tall, cold, silent. One stepped forward. You may speak, he said to Lyra. Lyra raised her head. I wish to live here, she said calmly. I will follow your laws. I will cause no harm. The official looked at her. Your presence causes unrest, he replied. Your scent disturbs others. Lyra's hands shook slightly. I cannot remove it, she said. It is part of my life. The official turned away. Then this place is not for you. The words hit like cold stone. Lyra closed her eyes. She was ready to accept it. She always was. But Evan stepped forward. She stays. The entire square fell silent. The official slowly turned. You are not of this colony, he said. You have no authority here, human. Evan looked at him calmly. I don't need authority to speak when something is wrong. A low murmur spread through the crowd. The official narrowed his eyes. You choose her over peace? Evan shook his head. I choose truth over comfort. The official raised his hand. Remove them. Two guards stepped forward. Lyra grabbed Evan's arm. Please, she whispered. Do not fight this. I am used to leaving. Evan gently removed her hand. That is the problem, he said softly. You should not be used to it. He turned toward the guards. Look at her, he said loudly. Do you see a weapon? Do you see a threat, or do you only smell something different? The guards hesitated. The crowd was silent. Evan continued. She healed worlds before your kind even learned to leave the sky. Her people gave life where others brought war. The official laughed coldly. Old stories. Evan's voice rose. No, forgotten stories. Lyra felt something change inside her. Her scent began to rise again. Not strong, not soft. Steady. Like a calm river. People felt it. A warmth in their chest. A quiet peace in their minds. A child stepped forward. Small. Brave. Mother, the child said, I feel safe. The mother looked down at her child. Then, at Lyra. She did not pull the child away. The official's eyes widened. What is this trick? He demanded. Lyra spoke softly. This is no trick. This is what happens when fear is replaced by understanding. The guards lowered their weapons slowly. The crowd began to whisper again. But not in fear. In thought. The official took a step back. You humans are dangerous, he said quietly. Evan smiled. Only to injustice. Silence followed. Then a deep voice echoed through the square. That is enough. Everyone turned. A tall figure approached. He wore dark armor marked with ancient symbols. His presence was heavy. Powerful. A high commander. The crowd stepped aside. Official bowed his head. Commander, he said. The commander looked at Lyra. Then at Evan. Is this true? He asked calmly. Are you Valori? Lyra nodded. Yes. The commander closed his eyes slowly. When he opened them again, they were filled with memory. My world once burned, he said. Your people saved it. A gasp spread through the crowd. They did not smell of danger, he continued. They smelled of hope. He stepped toward Lyra, and slowly he bowed. Lyra's eyes widened. The entire square froze. The commander spoke loudly. This girl is not a curse. She is a reminder. The crowd fell silent. The official stepped back. The commander turned toward Evan. And you, human, you stood when others stayed silent. Evan said nothing. He only nodded. The commander looked at the people. Let this colony be a place where truth lives, not fear. Lyra's scent changed again. This time it was joy. Pure, bright. The colony had not changed in one moment, but something had begun, and it began because one human refused to walk away. The square was still silent, not the quiet of fear, but the quiet of change. The high commander stood before Lyra. People watched him with wide eyes. He slowly raised his head and looked at the crowd. You see her as a problem, he said. I see her as a promise. The official swallowed nervously. Commander, the records say the Valori are dangerous. The commander turned toward him. Records are written by those in power, he replied. Not always by those who speak truth. He stepped closer to Lyra. When my world was dying, he continued, our skies were black. Our oceans were poison. Our cities were breaking. The crowd listened closely now. Many came, he said. Merchants, warriors, politicians. All asked for payment before help. He paused. Only the Valori came with open hands. Lyra looked up slowly. Her eyes shone. They did not ask for gold, the commander said. They asked only for time and trust. Evan felt something move deep inside him. The commander looked at Lyra gently. Your people stayed for many cycles. They healed our land. They sang to the waters. They breathed life into dying soil. The crowd whispered softly. But when our world became strong again, he said, We forgot who saved us. His voice became heavy. We erased their names. We called their gifts dangerous. We chose pride over gratitude. The commander closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. And now, I stand here ashamed. Lyra's scent changed. It became soft. Like forgiveness. The commander stepped back and raised his voice. Let the galaxy hear this. The Valori are not a threat. They are healers. Some in the crowd looked away. Some lowered their heads. The official whispered, if this is true, then we were wrong. The commander turned toward Evan. And you, human, he said, why did you stand for her when others did not? Evan thought for a moment. Then answered simply, because when everyone walks away from someone, someone must walk toward them. The commander smiled faintly, a simple answer, yet rare. He looked at the people again. Let this colony become a place where the Valori may live freely, he declared. A soft sound moved through the crowd, not loud cheers, but something deeper. Relief. Lyra slowly walked toward the commander. Her voice was gentle. My people were tired of being remembered only for lies. The commander bowed his head. Then let today be the day the truth begins again. At that moment, the crystal tower behind them glowed brighter. Its light spread across the square. Lyra closed her eyes. She felt something she had not felt in a long time. Belonging. Evan stood beside her. He did not speak. He did not need to. The silence now was peaceful, but the commander was not finished. There's more the galaxy must know, he said. The crowd turned toward him again. The Valori did not only heal worlds, he said slowly. They saved them from something far darker. A ripple of tension moved through the people. What do you mean? Someone asked. The commander looked toward the sky. There are forces in this universe that do not want life to grow, he said. Your people stood against them. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. Our elders spoke of this, she whispered. But few believed. The commander nodded. They were right. Evan felt a chill. What kind of forces? He asked. The commander's voice dropped. Those who feed on dying worlds. Those who fear healers more than soldiers. The square fell silent again, not in peace, but in warning. The commander turned toward Lyra. Your people may soon be needed. Again, Lyra stood tall. For healing, she said calmly. Not for war. The commander smiled. Exactly why the galaxy needs you. The crystal tower dimmed slowly. The light faded. But something far greater remained. A truth once buried. Now awake. And somewhere beyond the stars, something else had begun to move. The next morning, the colony felt different. Not in its buildings, not in its lights, but in the way people moved. Lyra walked through the main street with Evan beside her for the first time. People did not step away quickly. Some still looked unsure. But some stayed. A shopkeeper looked up as they passed. He hesitated. Then said quietly, Good morning. Lyra stopped. She turned slowly. Good morning, she replied. Her voice was soft, but Evan saw her eyes shine. They continued walking. Two small alien children stood near a fountain. They watched Lyra carefully. One child pulled the other's arm. Go smell. The child whispered. They slowly came closer. Lyra knelt down. She did not speak. She only waited. The children leaned forward slightly, then smiled. She smells like rain, one said, and warm wind, the other added. Their mother hurried toward them. She froze when she saw them near Lyra for a moment. She did nothing. Then she bowed her head gently. Thank you for being kind to them, she said. Lyra smiled. Something deep inside her healed. Evan watched quietly. This was not a loud change. It was slow. Real. Later that day, Lyra was invited to the colony's healing center. Not as a patient, but as a helper. The head healer, an old alien with glowing eyes, spoke calmly. We want to learn from you, he said. Lyra was surprised. From me? He nodded. Your people healed worlds. We wish to heal people. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, then said, I will help. As days passed, small changes grew. People sat near Lyra on public transport. Not all, but enough. Some still held their breath, but others breathed freely. Evan noticed something else too. Lyra's scent had changed. It was no longer filled with sadness. It carried peace. And quiet strength. One evening, they stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. You are not alone anymore, Evan sighed. Lyra nodded. But I am not finished, she replied. What do you mean? Evan asked. She looked into the sky. My people are still scattered, she said. Still hiding, still afraid. Evan placed his hand on the railing. They will come, he said, when they hear this place is safe. Lyra smiled softly. They will believe a human before they believe the galaxy. That night, a message was sent across space. Not loud, not proud, but honest. It said, the Valori are welcome here. The message traveled far, across empty worlds, across broken stations, across silent stars, and somewhere others heard it. Far away, on a forgotten moon, a Valori elder opened her eyes. They remember us, she whispered. Back in the colony, life continued, but something felt lighter. One morning, Evan noticed a crowd near the spaceport. Ships were arriving. Not traders. Not soldiers, but families. Refugees. And among them, Valori. Different shapes, different ages. All carrying the same gentle scent. Lyra stood frozen, her breath caught. They came, she whispered. Evan smiled. They found home. As the Valori stepped into the colony, something beautiful happened. Their scents mixed, not heavy. Not sharp, but like a soft song in the air. People stopped walking. They closed their eyes. And for the first time, they felt what Lyra always carried. Not smell, but life. The colony did not become perfect. Fear did not disappear fully, but something stronger had arrived. Understanding. And that was enough to begin. Lyra looked at Evan. You walked toward me when others walked away, she said. Evan replied gently, and you taught a colony how to walk forward. Above them, the stars shone quietly. Watching. Waiting. Because the story of the Valori was not ending. It was only beginning again. The colony was no longer just a colony. It had become a symbol. Ships arrived every day now. Not for trade, not for war. But for hope. Worlds that once turned away from the Valori now watched closely. They saw what fear could not hide anymore. They saw streets where Valori walked freely. They saw children playing without fear. They saw healers working side by side. And they asked themselves a simple question. If this is dangerous, why does it look like peace? Evan stood at the edge of the landing platform. Lyra stood beside him. Her scent moved gently in the air. Not strong, not soft, but steady. Like a heartbeat. A large ship descended slowly. Its shape was ancient, marked with symbols older than most worlds. The High Commander stood behind them. More leaders are coming, he said quietly. They wish to speak with the Valori. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment. My people were once silent, she said. Now they are being heard. The doors of the ship opened. Delegates stepped out. Tall, small, different forms, but all with the same look in their eyes, caution mixed with curiosity. A leader stepped forward. You have changed the story of your kind, he said to Lyra. Lyra shook her head. No, she replied softly. A human did. The leader turned to Evan. You stood where many stayed silent, he said. Why? Evan thought. Then answered simply. Because someone once walked away from my world too, and I wished they had stayed. Silence followed. Not awkward, respectful. The leader nodded slowly. Then let this be a new beginning, he said. One by one, Worlds opened their gates. Slowly. Carefully. But they opened. Valori were welcomed again. Not everywhere. Not yet. But enough. Lyra looked up at the sky. My people were once called the Scented Ones, she said. Now they will be known as the Healers again. Evan smiled. But this time, he said, they will not walk alone. The galaxy did not change in one day. It never does. But one moment changed its direction. The moment a human chose kindness over comfort. That moment spread like a quiet flame, not burning, but lighting the dark. Years later, children would learn the story, not of a great war, not of a powerful weapon, but of a lonely alien girl. And a human who sat beside her. They would say, the strongest force in the universe is not fire, not steel, not fear. It is the courage to care when it is easier to walk away. Lyra stood with Evan one last time on the balcony. Stars shone above them. You changed my life, she said. Evan replied gently, you changed the galaxy. She smiled, and her scent carried peace.